Alfie is a WOR race winner.
Jensen makes it 5 in a row.
Danny Berejnay wins on debut.
Shinaka returns to winning ways in WOR.
Season 12 sees a new man. It's Shadow. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jensen is the new king of PlayStation.
From the back row of the grid, against all odds, Nicholas Longy wins the title.
Goes past the safety car.
What has gone on here?
Bowman spins.
Stunning move from the Spaniard.
He's taken out Rambo. Here comes Longy.
We're going 4 wide down to turn 1.
Oh, he's taking him out.
The captain runs
To the inside.
Shadow wins at Brazil.
absolutely sensational.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to WOR. We are here for Social Race 2 on the PlayStation. It is round, of course, the Belgian Grand Prix circuit at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. My name is James Head. I'm going to be taking to the stream, as always, on a Friday night. And joining me in the comment box, he may not be seen, but he can certainly be heard. It is Mr. Aidan Carter. Aidan, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Yeah, really looking forward to what is going to be my first comms on this game, which is really exciting. It was a shame to miss out last week, of course. So it was a bit of a last-minute dropout from my side. But yeah, happy to be back into the commentary box for the first time. And if any of you you guys would have been lucky. You could have potentially, like you said, seen my face. But if you just tuned into the conversation James and I were having for the last 20 minutes, you would have found out that it was very stressful trying to get my camera to work. So apologies for that. But hopefully this time next week you will be able to see my face.
Should all be fine. It's technology at its finest, I think, coming into tonight. Nothing like a dilemma before we start the stream, obviously. Coming into tonight, we have got 20 drivers waiting in the lobby as I speak. It looks like qualifying is actually about to get going indeed. So we'll take you through, of course, the calendar of what is to come for WR this season. We'll run you through that quickly, and then we'll obviously come on to that later on. But Austria first round of the championship, then Bahrain for the first of the 3 sprint races this season in WR, Miami for round 3, Australia for round 4, then Great Britain, back to Belgium for round 6, another sprint race, then Canada and Italy. That pretty much rounds off the first half of the season. Looking, though, at the track map in question here tonight, we'll take you through the full calendar as we go through the lobby tonight. But 7 kilometres in length, 19 turns, 4.3 mile, the longest track on the F1 calendar, the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, shaped like a dinosaur as well, plenty of elevation change, and of course 2 DRS zones, 1 down the start-finish straight down in towards the Source hairpin, and then 1 down the Kemmel straight in towards the Combe. And Aidan, this is an absolute mainstay on the F1 calendar. However, this mainstay might be going for the South African Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's a shame, really, isn't it? I think it's been a staple of Formula One for it's pretty much since the 50s, hasn't it? It's obviously changed drastically in that time, but it's such a mainstay of the Formula One calendar that it would be a shame to see it go if that is the case, which is looking more than more likely that it is. I think we're getting a good replacement in the South African Grand Prix. It's somewhere that we haven't been in Formula One for a long time. Kyalami is a great track. If anybody knows me very well, I adore Kyalami, and I wanted it on the calendar ever since it pretty much left, and ever since I started watching Formula One. So we're not... it could be worse, but it would be a shame to lose Spa. Hopefully not for good. They might do a rotational calendar, which would be nice to see. But yeah, it would be a real shame and a bit of a gut punch to Formula One fans if this track disappeared from the calendar completely.
Yeah, definitely so. And obviously Kyalami used to hold the South African Grand Prix. I think it was in the 1980s it was last held, if I'm not mistaken, the South African Grand Prix. This is not the South African Grand Prix, though. This is the Belgian Grand Prix in its current iteration. obviously in the 2021 circuit layout, not the 2022 circuit layout. I believe they might be adding that later on in the game cycle. Do not correct me on that, though, if I'm wrong on that point. First man out on track, though, is VSR Jensen, and Jensen, of course, an absolute mainstay in WOR, current champion. We know him quite well, Aiden. How do you think he's going to get on tonight in Belgium? As he nearly, oh well, there you go. He's already nearly at the session.
I was going to say, yeah, that's great timing, isn't it? Really sorry for that one, Jensen. That is the perfect commentator's curse, isn't it? Just, we'll get it out of the way straight away. Why not? We'll get the curse out of the way. Before we had that spin, I was going to say I was looking forward to see what Jensen can do. I think, he, like you say, has been a staple of WOR. I've seen him in many other leagues as well, perform really, really well. So he's always at the front no matter what he's in. So he's definitely one to look out for tonight, but he is not off to the best start, we will say, after that spin at the top of Radion, which is unfortunate. I think there's, like we were saying earlier on before we went live, though, while that it could be a good fight for Jensen, this is a really strong lineup, this field. There's so many people that you can't really pick out a favorite, I would say, from this. You can probably pick out maybe like a top 6 or 7 drivers that you would look at, but to pick one sole driver you would say would be the favorite tonight, I think is pretty much impossible.
Yeah, definitely so. I'm not sure, by the way, if we're getting any game sound on my end. I can't see it flicking on OBS, which is not that great coming into tonight. You'll just have to take maybe brumming noises in terms of what we're going to be seeing here tonight. Tom, though, the first man, now out on track, of course, a good friend of Jensen. He's now part of the Shazoo team, of course, not formerly the Shazoo, formerly a Panel driver, now part of the Shazoo team, back at his old horns. He is probably going to be one of the favourites, I think, coming into tonight. We have got a lot of good drivers on the likes of Asicum, the likes of Ogiano, who obviously produced a podium finish in the PSGL social race on Monday as well. But Tom, going around this lap, 7 kilometres in length, and we're about to take you through on a lap with Tom on the run down in towards turn number 1 at La Source hairpin. As we now comes down in towards turn number 1 through the right-hander, and now obviously gets on the apex, on the power, on the exit, on the run down in towards Rouge and Radion, and of course, this is the most famous corner, or one of the most famous corners on the F1 track. That's a Rouge and that's Radion, actually, coming up through turn 3, and then through the right-hander of turn number 4, down the Camel Straight Dutch corner on the left-hand side. As we pass Tom, of course, we'll be going down into the coming around 200 mile an hour already, 210 mile an hour with a 30.1 in the first sectors. And now comes through the left-hander of turn number 6, through the right-hander of turn number 7, got a little bit sketchy there, now on the run down in towards Bruxelles, and then on the run down again in towards No Name, which are the next 2 corners out on track. This is Bruxelles, and then this is No Name. Of course, they've changed part of the track here. They've got a little escape road on the left-hand side. Not on this game, though. He's invalidated, though, as we come through No Name, which is unfortunate. We'll continue on board with this lap, though we might decide to come in the pit lane as he now comes through Pouon, and then in towards the chicane that I always forget the name of, so I'm just going to call it a chicane, coming to the right-hander and then through the left-hander, as we now come through in towards Campos corner at the right-hander, and then through another right-hander of Stavelon. This is pretty much the end of the second sector. 14.4 in the middle sector, normally around 2 seconds a lap slower on this game compared to the F121 game, of course. That was the previous iteration of this game. But Tom now coming down in towards the final couple of corners, and we'll see what he's going to do as he now comes through Blanchimont on the run up in towards the bus stop chicane. Many iterations of the bus stop chicane in its time, but this is the current iteration, coming to the right-hander, coming to the left-hander. Would have been, I think, a 142 or 143 maybe from Tom towards the line, and it was a 142.8, and he would have gone quickest. Anybody else catching your eye?
I'm just on board at the moment with Santeri. That's who I'm running with, as Noah's gone to the top of the 42.8, the first proper fast valid time that we've seen. Santeri, I think, does have a purple middle sector at the moment, but we, of course, are still yet to see a lot of other drivers come through that middle part of the lap. Santeri then up towards the line, his first time on the board. Actually lost a little bit of time in the final part of the lap, so it's still a 42.8, but not quite at the front of the field. He sits in second for the time being. There's many, many more drivers coming round the final corners now, getting ready to finish off their laps. I think another driver close to the end of the lap is Asicome, of course, in the AlphaTauri, coming around the final corner and up towards the line, and he goes to the top by a country mile, 0.7 of a second, a 42.1. Ogiano, who split the gap in the middle with a 42.5, but Asicome leading where he left off, starting where he left off, I should say, and right at the front of the field straight away.
Yeah, looking really good. 42.1, as you say. Ogiano there second, 42.5. Noah in third. Shazoo Academy man, I should say, in third, 42.8 as well. Not sure what is happening on my end in terms of the game sound. I've tried to correct itself. Hopefully, though, it is okay. I'm going to transition once again Hopefully that might work in terms of the game sound. I don't think it is getting any game sound though, which is absolutely terrible. I'll see if we can fix that though as we go along. Asi coming out on top, Ogiano second, Noah currently in third, Shane there in fourth. Also drivers on the lap, the likes of Tom once again, a Rocker I believe is coming through in towards the final couple of corners, formerly of course of Team Mentalism, now part of the FVR team. Very good son, I've got to say. The McLaren now coming through the final couple of corners and now on the run to the line with a Rocker, and it is a 142.8. And look at how many drivers, Aiden. Noah, Shane, a Rocker, Santeri, all separated by 300ths of a second.
Yeah, they're loving that 42.8 at the moment, isn't it? That seems to be the bracket that everybody's in. Of course, we saw Tom do a 42.8 before, obviously, and his time was invalidated as well. So that seems to be everybody's favourite time at the moment. As I just jump on board with Jensen, who's gone for his second spin of the quali session, unfortunately. Did a 30 flat for the first sector, which is pretty strong, but lost the rear of the car in the second part of the Lake Common chicane just before Malmedy. He's managed to keep it out of the wall this time around, but so far, Jensen maybe running a pretty aggressive setup of some sort, but that car's a bit of a handful, it seems so far. There's actually an Aston Martin off the road just in front of him. As this game, it's if you can be fast, you can be really good and you can really enjoy this game. But if you get it wrong, this game really bites you.
It does indeed. It really does. As we now come through the right-hander on board with Jerry at this moment in time. OBS has gone down on my end. I think we're back for good as normal. Everything is working, I hope, okay. Osicom leads the way from Ogiano in second, Noah in third in this qualifying session. Jerry on an outlap. Dan Spreen is also on an outlap. I believe he is actually further on behind Jerry at this stage. Evans as well, the relentless man, out on track. Of course, I'm sure my co-commentator will be supporting for Evans at this point in 16th position, as we've got a new driver actually just joining the session. I think it was Rowan that has just joined the session in the Williams, so that is good to see that man there. I think he's Dutch now in the session, but we'll go on board with a lap on board the Talent Factory man. Do you want to take us through this one, Aiden?
Yeah, let's go on board. There's one. Have a look. Obviously, goes through the La Source Hairpin. The other AlphaTauri, of course, his current teammate for this lobby, at least, still comfortably on pole by 0.4 of a second. No one's got close to that time yet as he heads then into Eau Rouge and Radion through the dip up the hill of Radion over the top. Of course, completely modified this part of the track has been. It's been widened, the runoff for this part of the circuit, as has a lot of other areas of the track, of course, which will be really exciting to see how those effects change this lineup, as it's a 29.9 first sector, which is a pretty solid first sector actually for the AlphaTauri, using a lot of curb in the Lake Common chicane. Takes quite a tight line through Malmedy, but is able to keep the speed up as he heads down towards the hairpin, then downhill, braking all the way really to the middle part of the corner. It's a really, really long, kind of clumsy corner as you head into No Name as well. Don't invalidate, very easy to do on the outside of that corner, but keeps it well within track limits. Just Jerry as he heads into Puon, probably the most difficult corner on the track to get right. If you touch the curb on the inside of either part, you're very likely to spin, and it's very easy to invalidate if you just run a little bit offline into the chicane that has about 5 names at this point. I like to call it the Lafania chicane. So as he heads through the Lafania chicane, again keeping it within track limits quite nicely, and then into the final part of the lap, then just missing the apex slightly there as he heads through Purple Frere. Now it's a flat out run all the way to the bus stop chicane. There's a Ferrari just in front of him on the road. Not sure which Ferrari that is. I think that may be Lynx just coming around to start his next lap in the session then, as Jerry comes through Blanchimont corner and up towards the bus stop chicane. Brake just before the curb here as he heads the brakes, then gets into the corner nicely, keeps it in third gear, does his short shift to fourth. He doesn't, gets maybe a little bit hindered by the Mercedes in front, but that's not going to cost him too much as he crosses the line. And it's another 42.8. God, they can't get out the 42.8s today, can they?
They really can't, and it's now 600ths of a second separating 5 drivers. Only a handful of times on the board, though. First Antonine currently on the board. Dan Spreener's on the lap as well. The Aston Martin man coming through the final couple of corners in the middle sector, 15.3. Believe we have now got game sound, which I'm glad to say. All that was needed was cancel, and then it was fine. I don't know what happened, but it's working now. Dan Spreen's coming through into a Blanchimont, and now into the bus stop chicane. It turns 18 and 19. He has got a car ahead of him out on track, and he darts out of the way. I think that's one of the Williamses just getting out of the way. Might have been truthful on an outlap, as now Dan Spreen comes through the final couple of corners on the run to the line. I think he'll go ahead and maybe Lynx here towards the line. Just fall shy, 43.8, but still gets a lap time on the board. The likes of Steph on lap as well, nearly going for half spin, coming to the Le Common chicane and on the run down in towards Bruxelles there. Just flicking on board with anybody else. Gents on that lap at the minute. Darrow through the first sector, 30.1, so a little bit off in the first sector. Anybody else catching your eye? I know Evans is coming towards the line. He's towards the line at 43.9. He goes 11th.
Yeah, I was just on board with him. I think he made a mistake at the very early part of the second sector, so the time's not fully representative. A lot of drivers really struggling with that Lecom chicane at the moment. Drivers trying to use a lot of the curb. You could use a lot of the curb on the previous game at Lecom, but on this game, like I said earlier on, if you get it wrong and you take just a little bit too much or too little, it can bite you very hard. We've got Steph on a lap at the moment, but it isn't looking all that competitive. And as I say that, he's now gone for a spin through curve pull flare. So every time I've gone on board with somebody, they've gone and had a spin. So I'm really cursing them tonight, unfortunately, which is really sad to say. I do apologize to everybody. Chizu Tom was on a lap. He's invalidated again, unfortunately. So still Tom with no lap. I've just caught another driver having a spin. I think it was Damiano actually just having a bit of a moment through No Name, but they are continuing on their lap. They didn't invalidate, so they've kept it on the road. So we'll see whether they can improve or not. Just seeing if anybody's coming to the line. A lot of drivers invalidating though. A lot of drivers really struggling to keep the car on the road, and still nobody able to get near Asacombe. And in fact, Asacombe is 0.03 of a second up coming through the second sector. So could he get closer to the 41s? I don't think it's quite going to be there just yet as he crosses the line, but he does improve by just over 0.5 of a second. So Asacombe solidifies his position at the top. Noah's managed to go second in the other Mercedes, but still 0.3 of a second off.
Ogiano's a 10.5 up as well, 14.2. He jukes me into the pit lane, absolutely typical. Dama's on a lap as well, I believe he just came off one. Santeri goes fourth, though, showing a little bit of resemblance of his former pace compared to the F121 game. Saw the social race, if you saw the social race in PSGL on Monday, Santeri really struggled. He was 13th in qualifying, pretty much out of the race throughout the entirety of that, not really in contention. Santeri coming back to something like his best, still getting used to the game, 42.6. He's currently there in 4th. TF Shane as well has gone 5th, 42.7. Talent Factory Man, of course, and a Rocker has dropped down to 8th. I think we've seen an improvement. I can't see who it is. It's Surface that's improved up to 3rd, and now Jensen goes 2nd, 42.2. Much better lap from him. We've got the likes of Rowan as well on a lap, as well as FBR Nam. Rowan's coming through the middle sector. FBR Nam's actually invalidated on a lap, but it's Asa come out on top. Jensen 2nd. Noah there in 3rd. 5 minutes ago in qualifying. Nam is just preparing up for another lap at this stage. But apart from that, I don't think anybody's actually on a lap.
No, I don't think so. It doesn't look like it. I think Damiano's gone for another one, but is already slow in the first sector. So Damiano's actually backed off pretty much immediately on that run, unfortunately. Fruitful did improve on that previous one to another 42.8, but that's just as far up as they can go at the moment. It's difficult, isn't it? We're seeing a lot of drivers making mistakes in qualifying. I think obviously these cars are a lot more on edge because of the 18-inch wheels, much stiffer cars, much stiffer suspension, more reliant on ground effect rather than the aero over the top of the car. So if you're losing any aero underneath the car, you can very quickly spin the car, as we have seen many times already so far in this qualifying session. Nobody, apart from Asacombe, nobody really seems to be fully on top of the car at the moment. People are either invalidating or they're having spins. I think Jensen's a prime example of that. He's spun twice already in this session, but when Jensen's not spinning, he's very fast. So it's just trying to find that balance at the moment, isn't it, between being right on the edge and potentially putting it in the wall and being able to keep the speed with it without making too many mistakes. And at the moment, Asacombe seems to be the only one that's able to do that on a consistent basis. We've still got 5 people left in the session who haven't set a time. As Fruitful, unfortunately, is retired in the pit lane. I think he would have had enough time to go out again, but maybe just thinking that he can't go any faster than he already has.
Is that in the pit lane, or is that in the pit lane entry? I think he's crashed in the pit lane entry, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah. He has crashed at the pit lane entry.
Really strange. Can't see Jensen, I think, is just coming through that part. Oh, now the car's gone, as I was typically on board with Jensen there. Does come out of top. Jensen 2nd, Noah there in 3rd. Legend, though, I believe, is preparing for an outlap. Dan Spreener's also on an outlap. He just came out the pit lane at this stage. Legend, though, has got good pace. I've seen good pace of him on this game so far. He's looking towards the top end of the field, of course. Asacombe, though, out on top. Jensen 2nd, Noah in 3rd. It's, to be honest, Aiden, the sort of people you expect at the top end of the standings. Possibly, dare I say, PSGL F1 standard?
Yeah, you definitely got to say it, haven't you? Especially with the top 2 at the moment. They, of course, were in PSGL F1 last season, and both of them had... Well, Jensen had a very solid season. Asacombe picked up a podium later on in the season and continued to improve. So, yeah, a lot of familiar names at the very front of the field. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see if anybody else who's maybe not quite on the same level, or maybe is a bit new to this level, maybe can see if they can get themselves in amongst the other drivers around them. But it's going to be difficult. It's always difficult to try and infiltrate those that are the very top of the timesheets at the moment. Just seeing who is going to be the first person to start their final run. I think it is going to be Legend at the moment, but again, a Legend, another one who has not set a valid time in this session so far. 2 attempts, 2 invalidations. So Legend, another one really struggling to keep it on the road at the moment.
Yeah, former IFR man, of course, now part of the Talent Factory team, as many IFR former drivers are now part of Talent Factory. But we're right on board with Legend, on a board of a lap, on the run down now in towards turn number 1. Zickelmo still out on top, Jensen there in second, Noah there in third, down in towards the source of turn number 1 in the Ferrari with Legend, and then on the run towards Rouge, and then Radion getting out of the way on the right hand side, one of the Red Bulls, and now come down the hill in towards the Rouge and Radion, to the left hand return 2, to the right hand return number 3, and then up the hill in towards the right hand return 4, and then down in towards the heavy braking zone of Lecom Chicane, and we'll come now towards the end of the first sector, on board with Legend. 29.9, good first sector, purple out of everyone apparently in terms of the actual timings, but do not believe that for a second, because I think he's down by about 2 or 3 tenths in the first sector. Legend coming now down towards Bruxelles corner, got to get hard on the brakes in towards Bruxelles. The characteristic of that track and of that corner has changed somewhat in real life, as Legend now comes to the left-hander of X corner, or no name, on the run down now in towards P1, pretty much through half the lap at this point. And as you can tell, 42.1 drivers percent in 40s on the last game, so it's around a 1.2, 1.3 difference in terms of what we're seeing in terms of the average lap time so far in qualifying. No doubt there will be more improvement as we come along. Through the Fania chicane and then towards the right-hander now of the Campos right-hander, then in towards the right-hander again of Stavolo, 14.1, he's up there in the middle sector once again. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him, I believe that's an AlphaTauri that is ahead of him on the left-hand side, and Alfa Romeo as well. So now Legend comes down in towards Brunchman, one of the fastest corners on the F1 calendar, and one of the fastest corners on this track as well, 200 mile an hour through lane from Legend as he now comes down in towards the right-hander of the bus stop chicane and through the left-hander on the exit of the bus stop chicane. It looks like a very neat lap so far by Legend. He's got a lot of pace, I can tell you that. He comes to the line, he goes third. Really good lap by Legend, 42.3. Anybody else improving? Noah's down in the first sector and he's actually had a spin.
Yeah, Noah gone off at the Lecom chicane, another driver that's been caught out by that. Not seeing anybody making massive improvements at the moment. People are just now starting on their next ones in the session. We're just waiting to see who's crossing through the second sector split. That's when you're really going to see the difference in time at the moment. The first sector really is all about the run coming out of the Lecom corner. That is out of La Source, sorry. That is really all about the first sector. Just seeing who else is on a lap at the moment. Steph is on a lap coming towards the end in the Haas. It's 14.6 for the middle sector. So this could be another 42.8 if he's nailed this final sector as he crosses the line, and it's not quite. It's also a bit of time in the final part of the lap. Only goes 13th. This session is officially over. Dan Spring crossed the line but invalidated their final run, so that's no improvement for them. Evans coming up to the bus stop chicane to finish off a lap. He's 8 tenths per second up at the moment as Santeri crosses the line and has found a bit more pace. So the next driver into the 42.1s now is Santeri. Evans crosses the line at 43 flat, goes P13. Can Asacombe respond and get even further up the field? No, he can't. He's spun at Pouon.
He has put a Pouon indeed. He's actually crashing into the wall coming through Pouon as well. So that's unfortunate. Santeri, as you mentioned, going second. Jensen invalidated through the middle sector. Legend's not on the lap. Noah's not on the lap. I think he's just started one, actually. No, in fact, the timing's ended. James, you're 40 seconds too late. Jerry now has backed off a lap as well. He's ran out of fuel. Surface is on a lap. He's a 10th down in the middle sector. Oh, coming through the middle sector. Shane, though, is a 10th up. So we're going board with Shane. He comes towards the final couple of corners now. I think he's the third car out on track, possibly to come across the line here. But it is. That's to come out on top. Santeri second. Rowan in third. Good lap time from him. 42.2. Just noticed that. As we now come to the left-hander of the bus stop chicane, on board with Shane on the run towards the line. The Talent Factory man. And he goes and stays 10th position. 1.5 tenth improvement in terms of that lap. A Rocker's 2.5 tenths up, though, in the middle sector. What can the Frenchman do? He could set up 42.5, potentially with Surface and Ogiano 8th and 9th at this stage, aiming towards that area. A Rocker is now comes through towards the line. And he goes 9th, right in between them both, in fact, and goes ahead of both Surface and Ogiano, goes behind Tom, who improved into 8th as well. Jerry's not on the lap. That, I believe, unless Linked is on the lap, he is not. That is the end of qualifying. Asicombe out on top. Santeri finding that pace there in second. Rowan in third. Very good qualifying session, and the whole field, Aiden, covered by 1.7 seconds, and the top 15 covered by less than a second.
Yeah, good to see that it's a close field spread for the majority of the field. I think the drivers at the back of the field, obviously, especially the two Aston Martins, just struggling a little bit to get a clean lap on the board, but not fully representative of their pace. And while Asacombe started off the session with a really, really strong time, he wasn't really ever able to improve on that time throughout the session. He found less than a tenth, but that was it, whereas everybody else just got faster and faster as the session went on. Nobody was quite able to top Asacombe at the top, but just Asicom seems to be able to get onto the pace straight away, whereas other drivers maybe take just a couple of few laps just to get up to speed, especially Santeri. Santeri, after the first few runs, was outside of the top 10 and then springs up onto the front row.
He does indeed, and Santeri, do not count him out, even if he's showing a little bit lackluster in terms of the pace. Hasn't shown it tonight, he's second, but he's behind Asicom by 500ths of a second. The opening man out on top, Santeri there in second, Rowan there in third, defending champion Jensen there in fourth, Legend in fifth, Noah in sixth, Jerry in seventh, then Shazoo Tom on his debut for Shazoo in eighth, Rocker there in ninth, and Surface ran off the top 10. Oggiano, Shane, Darrow, Fruitful, Evans the top 15, then it's Damiano, Steph, Lynx, Dan Spreen, and Nam, who actually didn't get a lap time. I know he's got a lot of pace though, Nam. He could come better, obviously in the race he's starting right at the back of the field, as we now take you, of course, to have a look once again at the track map in question. The 7 kilometres in length, 4.3 mile, 19 turns awaiting our drivers out on track. Already seen it in qualifying. How will the race pan out, Aidan?
Race is definitely going to be interesting. I think one thing that a lot of drivers I think have noticed on this game is the car's sensitivity to bumps. I think is definitely one thing that is going to be a factor in this race, especially on heavy fuel. You will notice it through Eau Rouge and Radion. The car does often bottom out at the very bottom of Eau Rouge before you go up the hill if you're running maybe a lower ride height in the setup or maybe a bit stiffer of a suspension. So that could be something that could affect you. It could help you in the middle sector running a lower front, a lower ride height and stiffer suspension, but if you're in the battle and you lose out time at the bottom of Eau Rouge, you could get swamped in a straight line because of it. So that is one thing the drivers are going to have to look out for. And of course, the new tyre rule that comes into this game. The top 10 aren't required to start on the soft compound tyres. So you're very unlikely to see the soft compound tyres, I would say here. I think the majority of tracks that we've seen so far that have been raced in other leagues seem to be medium hard or hard medium. It just depends really on whether the nature of the circuit is long, if it has longer or shorter corners, really, whether the softs can work in the race. I think this is one of the tracks where the softs I don't think we're going to see too much of. We might see a couple of drivers maybe try something at the start, but I think medium hard or hard medium is definitely going to be the way.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously it did a 50% race as well, so that means it's going to be one-stop strategy. So as you say, Aidan, mediums, hards, hards, mediums. Depends on what these guys are going to be doing though. Out on track and transition back into the on-track action right now as we're about to get going for the formation lap, which should be quite interesting because, of course, it is on immersive, not on broadcast, which means these guys can take control of their formation lap. And like Evans, you've already disqualified yourself from the session, which is a brand new feature, of course, and you will have maybe pull tyre attempts as we go on. Not a surprise to see majority drivers going for a set of mediums. However, Asicom leading the way on pole position on a set of hard compounded tyres. Everyone else behind them, down to Dara, is on a set of mediums, Fruitful on a set of hards, and then Nam's on a set of hards. Everyone in between that is on a set of mediums. That is a big strategy call from Asicom. Santeri there, surely is going to be the quickest man out on track, going down in towards the column for the first time.
Yeah, you would say, especially even with the launch off the line, you would say that Santeri should easily be able to get the lead of this race very early on. But yeah, that is a bold strategy call from Asicom. Maybe Asicom was thinking more people would go for the hard compound tyre, but that hasn't been the case. So Asicom really at the start of this race is going to be about just trying to find a spot in the train and seeing he's obviously not going to have the pace against the mediums in the first couple of laps of the race at least. He's going to have to just bed those hard compound tyres in and then just try and find a spot in the opening couple of laps where he fits, and he can just follow the pace of those on the medium tyres around. There's no point fighting too hard on the hards. He's just going to compromise his strategy. The one benefit for Asicom, though, he can go a little bit longer, and of course he doesn't have to go through the tyre warming process of putting the hards on later in the race, which is, of course, is another new feature with this game, of course, coming out with only 70-degree tyre blankets now on these cars. So Asicom doesn't have to go through that phase with the formation lap. The formation lap, you can get a lot more heat into the hard compound tyres a lot easier. So while he may struggle at the very start, he won't have that really, really slow out lap where he's struggling to get the hard up to temperature.
Yeah, definitely not. Indeed, the likes of Rowan as well. Jensen could perhaps be jumping at the chance on that sort of medium compounded side because Asicom is going to be a sitting duck perhaps. Maybe 4 wide into the 2018 Belgian Grand Prix style. We could perhaps see out on track here tonight. The 20 drivers though about to come around the bus stop chicane, coming through Blanchimont at the back of the field as well. But Asicom out on top, Santeri second, Rowan in third. Place your bets now in the comments section. Who do you think is going to win the Grand Prix here in Belgium in this social race? Of course, we've got a couple of weeks until the season still starts. So me and Aidan are getting our match practice in before. But speaking of match practice, Aidan, who's your top 3?
Oof, you always do this to me and it always goes horribly wrong. I never get these predictions correctly, but I'm going to go for Santeri, I think, for the win today. Lynx has just overshot his pit box, which is why he's been disqualified. And I'm going to go for Asicombe second and Jensen third.
Interesting. I'm going to go Jensen for the win, Asicombe second, Santeri in third. We've got a terrible camera angle to start off the corner 3. 500 lights though, and it is... Lights and away we go, and Asicombe gets a very good start. Santeri's going to pull alongside as well. Now, actually, it's going to be 3 wide because Rowan's on the inside line, possibly down in towards someone. This could end badly for somebody. The Red Bull absolutely forced it down the inside line, though. Jensen and Legend, though, have got caught in a bit of contact, and they're pretty much in the pit lane as we come through the turn 1 at the stalls. But Santeri leading the way, pretty much leading the way with Rowan, and Tom now goes past Santeri, so Santeri might have a little bit of damage. Asicombe got caught up in that contact early on, but Rowan leads the way. Tom in second, Asicombe in third, Noah in fourth, and it's 4 wide as we now come down in towards Lecombe. Jerry's trying to find room on the inside line, and Rocker's just in behind this as well. But Rowan leads in towards Lecombe. Tom in second, Asicombe in third, Noah in fourth, Santeri there in fifth, and it's 3 wide in the background. And Rocker, Surface, and Shane nearly going side by side, and Rocker gets the move done. He's into 7. Absolute mad start to the midfield, as now we get more action as Evans is right down the inside line of Shane, and now getting the switch back to perfection is Damiano on the outside line. 3 wide in small Dick's corner. That is absolute madness from Damiano. Gets the job done brilliantly. Evans has lost 3 positions for the price of 1 there. Rowan leads the way. Tom in second, Asicombe in third. Mad start to this Grand Prix, Aiden.
Yeah, that was a really mad start. If that's anything to go by what this season's going to look like, bring it on. That was a crazy, crazy first lap, and really opportunistic from Rowan down the inside. It was a fair move. He was fully down the inside. I just don't think Santeri on the outside realised that they were going 3 wide. He just had to bail out of the corner, unfortunately, which is why he's dropped back down to 5th position. A real shame as well for Legend and Jensen after strong qualifyings for them. I think they were just reacting to the 3 going 3 wide in front and just hit each other in the aftermath on the exit of the corner. They've dropped to the back. I don't think either of them have any serious damage. In fact, I don't think anybody has any damage, as Damiano's had a spin, just as I say that. So commentator's thirst continues. Damiano has dropped the car through Blanchimon. I wonder how he's done that, whether he was racing side by side or maybe he's just had a spin on the curb. I think Evans has gone off the road as well. So yeah, a lot of things going on in the midfield. In fact, it's absolute carnage coming down the pit straight.
It's absolutely like a car park coming through the bus stop chicane, quite literally. Damiano, I think, got desync, by the way, in terms of that incident with Ogiano, and there's more desyncing maybe going on there. Lynx is being spun as well, and it's getting all a little bit chaotic. Dara is spun as well. But further up the field, Rowan leads the way. Tom in second, Asicombe in third, Jerry in fourth. Mad first lap, and here comes Jerry on the inside line. Gonna get Asicombe in towards Lecombe. Shoot the AlphaTauri, and he gets the job done. The Dutchman, he's third, he's into third. The Italian has to hold sway on that sort of hard compounded tyres. They're gonna get a few laps to wear though to get into temperature, and Asicombe will be there, and hopefully within a second of Jerry as he latches onto the back. Santeri, all of the back of him in 5th. I thought he had damage. He doesn't have any damage, which is good. He's there in 5th position. Noah there in 6th. Rocker there in 7th. Surface in 8th. There's more yellow flags further down the field. I believe that is for Damiano, who was spun at the top of Lecombe. But Rowan leads the way. Tom in 2nd. Jerry in 3rd. Everything now, dare I say, calming down?
Well, days there. I mean, don't want to put our foot in the mouths because it's been that way the whole way through. But yeah, it's kind of split up now, isn't it? The top 10 have really separated from the back of the field after that whole crazy moment coming through Blanchimon last time around. Legends managed to work his way back up into 11th after that first lap contact with Jensen. Jensen up to 13th as well. Nam from dead last on the grid and not setting a lap on the hard compound tyres is up to 12th. So Nam's managed to work his way all the way through that carnage without really... Well, he's gained a lot of places and not lost anything. He's just about to lose out to Jensen, but you would expect that considering where they qualified. I think a few more people further down the field may have a little bit of damage. I think Dan Spree potentially could have a bit of damage as Steph and Fruitful going side by side there, I think, through Blanchimon corner, and I think Steph has managed to get that move done around the outside of the Williams, who was, of course, on those hard compound tyres. Those at the back, Nam and Fruitful struggling a little bit on the hards, but you've got to say for Asicombe, not doing too badly considering the tyres he is on, although we are starting to see a bit of a split at the front of the field. Rowan leads and has managed to break DRS to Tom, who has managed to break DRS to Jerry, who has managed to break DRS to Asicombe. So Santeri in 5th is the first driver with DRS.
Yeah, he is indeed. I think Jerry though, Jerry was the one outside of DRS. Tom certainly gained in terms of the DRS advantage down the straight there. He's there in 2nd position. I'm on board with Santeri. He's right on the back of Asicombe, and now Asicombe is pretty much out of the DRS range and out of slipstream range to his teammate ahead. This is bad news for him, but remember, those hard compounded tyres are going to get going into this race. The further we go on, the further that Asicombe, I think, is obviously going to try. Santeri tips the curb on the inside, coming through No Name there. Nearly spun the car. There's action going on further down down the field as well. Dan Screen and Evans are side by side. In fact, Dan Screen gets out of that one. So Evans is through and he's into 16th. The rejoice of my co-commentator sitting alongside me as Lynx is now in 18th position. There's another yellow flag in sector 2, and that's Damiano once again around. But Rowan leading the way from Tom there in 2nd, Jerry there in 3rd, Asicum there in 4th, Santeri there in 5th. Looking further down the field though, Surface applying a bit of pressure to a rocker. Former LR man, of course, now brought a WOR. He has got pace to burn. Oggiono, that man behind him, he finished on the podium in the PSGL social race, which I covered earlier on in the week. And Oggiono has got form in these social races. Has he now got pace, though, to try and latch onto the back of Surface, who in turn is latching onto the back of the rocker into the bus stop chicane?
Yeah, the two Alpines seem to be the ones on the move at the moment, don't they? They seem to be the ones in that train at the front of the field who have got a bit more pace than the drivers at front. Surface really neat on traction out of the bus stop, but just not close enough to a rocker to make a move into the source hairpin. Asagam has managed to get back within DRS range, I think, potentially, of his teammate. However, he did have a bit of a poor run out of the source that time around. As Surface does get the move on, the rockers had a bit of a moment coming out of the hairpin, and both Alpines immediately there to pounce on the McLaren. So there you go, Surface and Oggiono up now into 7th and 8th positions, and I think Surface will just get DRS on no front. Yes, they will. Oggiono is really close behind his Alpine teammate. Is Oggiono going to go for the move into the Lecom chicane, or does he think about it a little bit later on? He waits. He doesn't go for the move this time around. Jensen and Legend side by side on track once again, and Jensen back up now into 11th place, but crucially for them, 3.5 seconds off the back of Shane in front, so that is a long way to go for Jensen to try and catch back up and get back into the fight for the top 10 positions. One thing to note as well, we've noticed on this game that it is a lot harder to save ERS on this game. You can burn ERS very quickly. It's very powerful, but it goes very quickly. And interestingly, the top 3 are all very low on ERS compared to the drivers behind us. Jerry's our first driver with the time penalty.
He has. He's run wide at Puon, I should say. I was going to say the column. It's further on in the track, though. Rowan leads the way. Yeah, around the 30% mark, some of these drivers. Rowan on 30%, Tom around 26, Jerry around 27, pretty much in around the ballpark. But look at Asa coming behind, 41%. Bit more ERS to use up. He's on the back of Jerry, and now those hards beginning to come into play. The mediums might be just overreaching slightly, even this early stage in this race. But as he come there, 0.5 of a second and behind. I think he's got to watch out, though, for the man in behind. In the Williams, Santeri is on an absolute charge after that 3-wide contact in towards turn number 1 on the first lap. The Finn is going to try and close in on the back of the outside, running down in towards turn number 1, but it's Rowan that leads the way. Tom there in 2nd, Jerry in 3rd, the Italian Navasicum there in 4th, Santeri there in 5th, Oggiono on the back as well of Surface, running down in towards turn number 1. Not going to try and get the move done there, but I think Asicum may be going to have a move. Maybe a Jerry down in towards a Rouge and Radion. In fact, Jerry might just be in the DRS range of Tom now, and indeed he is. Tom dropping back off Rowan, but Jerry there in 3rd, and I think action further down, Oggiono is going to go side by side with his Alpine teammates, and there comes side by side with him. Oggiono to the outside line, gets the job done. Surface down into 8th, Oggiono through and he's into 7th. Nice move that, as Steph is also fighting with Nam.
Yeah, further down the field, I think Nam's still struggling on those hard compound tyres, so all the spaces he gained through that carnage is just starting to drop back through the field again, unfortunately. Fruitful's right there, trying to pounce as well, so is Evans on those medium compound tyres just behind the 2 hard runners. But yeah, that move from Oggiono now, when he's been right up behind the Alpine the whole way through the opening stages of this race. So Oggiono, race pace-wise at least, is looking very strong. Quali pace maybe not quite there just yet, but in race trim, Oggiono is looking super strong at the moment and is just picking them off one by one as this race goes on, as we've now got 4 drivers in a space of a lap that have picked up the time penalty. Fruitful is the latest to do so. Jerry, though, yeah, looks like he's really starting to struggle on those medium tyres, isn't it? He's running dangerously close. In fact, he is now starting to derate on the run down towards Sponsorman. I think trying to get back within DRS range of Tom as quickly as they can, but it's just going to run out of straight line speed at some point, really, isn't it? So it's going to be really difficult for them as Lynx has crashed through Curve Pool Frere, and that is a full safety car, I believe. Yeah. That is a full safety car. Yes, it is. And that has caught our race leader out big time, because he was on the pit straight when the safety car came out. Everybody else has come into the pit lane. Luckily for Owen, he's beat the safety car out, so he should just be able to get away with it. The one person I'm surprised that pitted, though, is Asacombe. I don't know what tyres he's going to go on to, and he's double stacking with his teammate.
That is not good at all. It's going to be 7 mediums, I think, for Asicum as I run on board with him. Everyone else is going hard, and I think Asicum has obviously forced the issue. Early safety car, doing a world of pain, I think, at they stage, but it's Rowan that leads the way. Jensen, Nam, and those 3 are the only 3 that haven't pitted, I believe, underneath the safety car. Dara has rejoined the session as well, but it's a full safety car out on track. There is the Aston Martin safety car on the left-hand side of the track, running down through Rouge and Radion, now on the yellow flag racing once again. But it's Rowan that leads the way. Jensen there in second. Nam there in third, and now for the first time I think it's a little bit of cooling period in this race. Legends just picked up a 3-second penalty, trying to catch onto the back of Steph. I think that was through a Rouge and Radion. But everyone now settling down. Asicum forced the issue, I think, going onto that set of mediums. He's forced himself, I think, onto those tyres. Everyone else, though, Aiden, are they going to get to the end on those hards? Because 16 laps in a set of hards is doable, but you're going to have to really save on those tyres.
Yeah, it's definitely doable. You can get to the end of the race on these hard compound tyres. The problem is that the pace drop-off by the end could be quite severe. They could be very slow at the end of the race. So it's going to be difficult for some of these drivers to hold these hard compound tyres for a long time. And of course, the problem now is that they've all pitted under the safety car period for a set of hards. So this doesn't give them the opportunity to really heat the tyres up as much as you would if you were trying at full speed. So a lot of these drivers could be struggling with tyre warm-up at the safety car restart. That is where Asicum has got to try and rebound from this kind of fork in the road that he's been dealt with here. Of course, you can't really stay out on the hards because you're just going to get swamped later on in the race, and if there's not another safety car, you're just going to come out of the back of the field. But Asicum now has to try and pass all those in front on the hards while they struggle to warm their tyres up. That is really the only chance Asicum has, because he's got to get to the front and then try and lead from the front and hold the mediums to the end. If he stays in the pack, he's just going to get swamped. So yeah, Asicum here in a really difficult position as into the pit lane comes Rowan and Jensen. I think Jensen smartly staying out for another lap so he didn't have to double stack behind a rocker. So Jensen won't lose really anything by staying out another lap, as I think Nam is the only driver that has stayed out at all. So Nam will take over the lead of the race and Rowan will be in second position. Jensen here could come out in a very good position by staying out for another lap. In fact, he has. Look at that. Jensen's come out ahead of Ogiano. So Jensen's now back up into a net fourth.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge. And if Nam didn't stay out, Rowan would have been the lead of the race still, and he would have been ahead of Tom coming out the pit lane. Absolutely crucial this for Rowan's chances. Nam, I'm just going to say this now, I think he's missed an absolute step because he's realised he was in second position. He was in third position behind Jensen. He would have been a bit further down the field. I don't think he would have been that further down the field. I still think he would have been in the top 10. And Nam, obviously, what's his strategy called now? Because he's on a set of hard compound tyres. Is it now the case where he's going to hope for a late safety car and then pit in for a set of softs?
I guess really that's the only one you've got to think of for Nam, isn't it? If there is some sort of late safety car that they can capitalise on. Other than that, it's just going to have to be a regular pit stop for a set of mediums at some point in maybe 6 or 7 laps time, and just picking off drivers that are either struggling on the hards or have crashed out. That's kind of really the only things you can see happening for Nam. And in the early phases of this race, at least, Nam has struggled on those hard compound tyres. So he's going to be a bit of a roadblock in these early phases of the safety car restart. So yeah, Nam could be a bit of a problem here for a few drivers, and Rowan now has a great opportunity. If he get past Nam quickly, then he can build up a lead again. And as I say that, Nam has unfortunately left the session, which is a shame. We're seeing quite a few drivers unfortunately struggling, I think, with a bit of desync. So, and Rowan's just driven through Nam's car, but he's got back into the second position. So Nam will still lead the way. I hope he can get back in before the safety car comes in. I think by the looks of it, it will be staying out for another lap. So he's got a little bit of time to get back into the lobby, but yeah, that would have been a real shame if the safety car was coming in this lap. That would have caused absolute carnage.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to fix because I know there's an audio bug, obviously, with some of the drivers out on track, and I believe they are fixing that. I know they released a small update about what they're going to be fixing in the next couple of weeks. I know the audio bug is certainly on that agenda for EA Sports, which is good. Now has rejoined the session, as is the Rockers. Both FER drivers left the session, rejoining, maybe trying to fix any bugs that they might have on their end. Of course, we've got 20 drivers, but we've got 19 apart from Links, who obviously caused the safety car. We've got 19 drivers still in the lobby. That basically means you're going to have 1, 2, maybe 3 drivers having that sort of bug. It's probably better to try and fix it rather than try and hang on, because I know Tom was mentioning this. He was doing a bit of practice early on. He had the audio bug of the driver ahead, and I believe it was Santeri. And look at where Tom is. He's in third position. Rowan there ahead of him. Doesn't want any audio bug or whatever. But 1 lap out of 22 here in WOR, the social race tonight in Belgium. It's Nam that leads the way. Rowan in second, Tom in third. Myself and Aidan Carter taking us through the action, as I'm going to now journey into the comment section. Good evening, by the way, comment section. I haven't ignored you at all through this race so far. Just saying in the chat about the strategies. I can't believe the strategies changed a lot on this game. It used to be softs to mediums and mediums to softs around here. It just shows that the tyre model has made a huge impact, and mediums only last 12 laps, so Asicom is going to hope for another safety car. Totally agree with both sentiments, as Shane has had a collision with a rocker further down the field.
Yeah, a little bit of a collision there. I think Shane's the only one that got a penalty from it, but oh gosh, that's a shame for Shane. Hopefully Shane hasn't picked up any damage or caused any damage to a Rocker's car, fingers crossed. But yeah, that's a setback for Shane's race that they did not need at all, unfortunately for them. So yeah, fingers crossed they haven't got any damage, because that could be again another robot for people a bit further down. It's crazy though as well how much the safety car period has completely shifted the order around. Jensen, by staying out another lap behind the safety car, has actually ended up jumping a lot of drivers. Remember, him and Legend were next to each other on the road pretty much. Legend wasn't held up in the pit lane really because they didn't have a double stack because their teammate crashed out. And Legend's now down to 14th and Jensen's up to 5th. So by staying out another lap and avoiding everybody coming into the pit lane at once, Jensen's actually got back up pretty much to where he qualified. So Jensen really given a new lease of life in this race. Ossicombe, of course, is now down to 8th. Santerre is now down to 11th. So a lot of drivers have jumped up the field and a lot of drivers have fallen back down the field. So this safety car period is not really as stagnant as we've maybe seen on previous games, where the order stays fairly the same unless you're double stacking. It's really shifted the order around.
It really has, and obviously double stacking was the actual key to the likes of Santerre, the likes of Asicom obviously losing the position. Safety car, though, I believe is coming in this lap. It hasn't popped up on my end, unless I've missed it, that the safety car is coming in this lap. Maybe Nam is going to speed up behind the safety car first, showing that the green is on. Hopefully we haven't got any sort of glitches perhaps with the safety car here, but Nam is out on top. Rowan in second, Tom there in third. Dan Spreen has spun underneath the safety car. He's right down the back of the field now, is Dan. So not sure if he got caught up in a little bit of scrimmaging further down the field. But Nam now having to close it back on the safety car. I think we might be staying up for another lap here, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what's going on at this stage. Nam is catching up to the back of the safety car through the bus stop chicane. Safety car is staying out another lap. So Nam leads the way. Rowan in second, Tom in third. I've never seen that one, to be honest.
I've seen that a couple of times on the previous game. I think it's a case of if the lead driver hangs back enough from the safety car, the safety car basically assumes that the pack has not caught them, so they stay out. The safety car stays out. So Nam, I think, there is deliberately held back from the safety car to keep it out for another lap, which is a very interesting call. Not really sure why Nam would do that, but Nam has kept the safety car out for another lap, and that has very conveniently helped his Aston Martin teammate who just spun under the safety car and has had to come in for a replacement front wing potentially, or just new tyres. Just new tyres actually for Dan Spreen. So Nam's holding back from the safety car has definitely helped out. Well, Fruitful's come back in and put on the hards that he started on, which is very interesting. And Dan Spreen's come in for the mediums that he started on. So even if that was a tactical move from both of them, they are once again further down the field than they were, and even further on the back foot because the tyres are now older than everybody else's.
Yeah, they have got the advantage, though, underneath the safety car. Obviously, they're going to be very, very cold. And if this was full speed, they'd be going halfway around the lap with pretty much cold, icy tyres, like literally driving like Bambi on ice, I would say, at this stage. But Fruitful and Dan Spreen, safety car, I think, is going to help them massively to try and get those tyres up to temperature, do a lot of weaving on the safety car. Tyres don't want to be too warm or too cold. I think they'll get them spot on, and I hope they're going to be towards the back end, at the top end of the field as we go through this race. So Dan in 18th and 19th at the minute, see how much progress they can make on, obviously out on track. But it's Nam that leads the way. Rowan in second, Tom in third. Safety car, we hope, is going to be coming in this lap this time around. Now, of course, the Aston Martin in behind the Aston Martin safety car. Not pulling any favours, I don't think, to Virtual Burt Marlander there in the safety car whatsoever. But Rowan there in second, Tom in third. We've got to talk about the safety car restart, though, Aiden. Rowan is on the fresher tyres. He's on 6 lap fresher tyres compared to Nam. I think Tom, though, potentially with that lap fresher tyres, is going to have the run on both of them.
Yeah, he definitely could. Tom's got a good opportunity here. Of course, he'd lost out. He was about 1.8 seconds behind Rowan before that safety car period came out. So this is, again, a new lease of life for Tom, who was just struggling in the opening phases to keep up with Rowan in the medium tyre stint. Maybe Tom's more suited to the hard compound tyre, and this is an opportunity to try and close back in on the Red Bull and keep with them later on. But if early pace of the race is anything to go by, Rowan's race pace is looking very, very strong at the moment as Nam gets ready for the restart.
Are we back on the green flag racing already? This is The yellow flags have gone completely. Oh no, the yellow flags are still on the virtual boards there. Goodness me, the track map is giving me a little bit of an eyesore in terms of what's actually going on. But the green flag race it is about to get going. Nam, of course, the virtual Malander. He's now the virtual safety car. And do you know what? He's slowing up the pace so much that everyone is filtering in behind. I'm sure Ogiano's just touched the back of Jensen there as well. If I'm not mistaken, Nam has got to say go though into the bus stop chicane. Otherwise, this is all hell is going to break loose, I think, underneath the safety car restart. And luckily, now he listens and now he says go as he comes now down and towards the bus stop chicane. Back underway onto lap 10 already. Shane has got through in a rocker, I believe, up to the 9th and 10th position. They go, but Nam leads the way on the exit of the final corner. Look at how cold those tyres are. There's a McLaren around in the background, and then there's a rocker round through the final corner. He just overheated those tyres completely. And Shane now under attack from Asicom, I should say, under attack from Noah. Not sure what's happened there. In towards turn 1, there's all sorts of carnage for the Ferrari off there as legend. What happened there, Aiden?
I'm not quite sure what that was. I think that was potentially Asicom going for a move on the drive around, and in defence, I don't know if that was Shane. I think Shane may have just spun Noah around in trying to defend the position or trying to attack the position, and Noah's just dropped to the back of the field. A rocker as well got a little bit sideways and then got helped into a spin by Santeri as they're going 3 wide again down towards Lecom chicane as they sort themselves out. That is Steph in 11th, just keeping ahead of Evans as Shane goes off the road, I think, again, and Santeri gets around the outside and up into 8th. But just like we saw at the start of the race, battling in the mid-pack has let the top runners disappear at the front of the field. Santeri already 3 seconds now behind Asicom. Yeah, that was a bit of a chaotic restart, unfortunately. A lot of things going on. Shane passing before the start-finish line. So, yeah, a lot of things going on that safety car restart that probably shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, definitely so, and obviously that's called a big split in the field. Nam is under pressure though from Rowan. He was looking to the outside of Lecom, but he didn't get the move done this lap around. Tom is all over the back like a hot rash in behind as well. Jav, by the way, in the comment section saying hello, and he's only here for me, so unfortunately Aiden has been ousted as my co-coms here tonight, but Nam leading the way. Rowan there in 2nd, Tom in 3rd. Bit of a love-hate relationship going on there in the comment section. Jerry though was right on the back of Tom, in through Blanchimont, and look at the run he's going to get. You've got 70% of VOS. He looks for the inside line, down in toward the bus stop. This is very late in the brakes. He forces and cuts across on Tom. Not sure what was going on there. The AlphaTauri man, he's going to drive a little bit cleaner than that. Now Ogiano is now in the mix, and he goes side by side with them across the line, down in towards turn number 1 at the source. And Ogiano down the inside line should get this move done. Should get the job done, and he has got the job done. Goodness me, Ogiano through, and he's into 4th, and now Tom is going to try and fight back on Jerry, and these are side by side down in towards the Rouge and Radion. Luckily, they don't go side by side through there, but Rowan is through on Nam, and Nam is trying to fight back as well. Totally missed out in towards turn number 1, but Rowan leads the way now from Nam in 2nd, who was fighting back on the run down in towards Lecom. Dan Screen has retired into the pit lane, and Nam tries to go all the way around the outside of Lecom, and actually gets a little bit of contact there with Rowan. Tries to snap a oversteer. There's 2 cars off in the background. I think that was Asicom and Jerry, if I'm not mistaken, couldn't across the track, or one of them was certainly couldn't across the track. Mad race here. Rowan leads the way. Nam in 2nd, Jensen 3rd, Ogiano in 4th. Luckily, this is only a social race. Otherwise, stewards will be coming for slap wrists.
Yeah, I don't think the stewards would be too pleased about this race if this was an actual race in the season, because this is really, really hectic. I don't really know what went. I think Jerry there went for that move down the inside of Tom and braked so late for the bus stop, he got spooked that he was going to hit into the side of one of the 2 leaders, and in his attempt to try and bail out the corner, just forced Tom completely off the road, and that's cost Tom, well, best part of 4 positions because of that, unfortunately. So, yeah, Tom really caught out, unfortunately, by Jerry's mistake there. Rowan's now through on Nam, and that mistake from Nam at the top of Lecom has let Rowan once again get away at the front of the field. It's built up already 1.5 seconds to the Aston Martin. Now it's Jensen trying to find a way through down the inside of Blanchimont. Should be, he needs to move it back out of it actually into the corner. Will he go for the move at the bus stop chicane instead? It's going to have to be the outside line around the Aston Martin. Nam brakes a lot later, but does get the car stopped. They're going to have to wait maybe for La Source to try and get the move done. Nam, remember, on those old tyres, has not pitted yet. DRS is now enabled, so Jensen can go for the move at turn 1 if he wants, or we can just wait for the DRS, which I think is probably the smarter choice. Jensen looks like he is going to wait for the DRS, but I think Nam almost they're thought about trying to give the DRS up as, oh my word, Ogiano had a horrible snap of oversteer out of the hairpin. And is that going to allow Asicom to run down towards Lecom maybe? It's getting really hectic now at the front of the field as well as the midfield, and Asicom go for the move on Ogiano. Jensen, though, should breeze past Nam and up into 2nd place.
He does indeed, and Asicom's coming on right on the back of Ogiano as well. We saw these two fights on Monday, now back at it on Friday as we now come through into towards the come. Not getting the move done there, the Legend on the back of Steph as well. And he nearly goes into the back of Steph, actually coming in towards the come. They hang on for positions for now, 11th and 12th positions indeed. But Rowan leads the way, Jensen now in second, Nam in third, Ogiano in fourth. I've been commentating, by the way, on studio mode on OBS, and I've been absolutely painful to watch. I've now got a full screen, which is really good, as Ogiano now is on the back of Nam, running down in towards Puon. Asicom right on the back as well. He's on that sort of medium compounded tyres, and now, with a mistake from Ogiano, he's going to absolutely lap this up into the Fania chicane, goes around the outside, in towards the right hander and the left hander, tries to get the job done, and Asicom backs off, and that is good. Good defenders. I couldn't even get my words out. Good defensive driving from Ogiano, who's still there in fourth position. Asicom there in fifth. Tried as he must. They're now going to try and get onto the back of Nam, though, who, with those wearing tyres, is going to come completely into the back of these guys. But look at Asicom on this set of medium compounded tyres, on the back of Ogiano, running through Blanchimont. Don't think they're going to get close enough in towards Blanchimont. Maybe waiting until the source. And I think that's what they're exactly going to do, as Nam takes the inside line to try and defend the corner. Rowan leads the way, Jensen second, front two pull it away, Nam becoming the real cork on the bottle of Surface and Shane, and Legend and Steph are going 4 wide nearly, coming through the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, they're all kicking off once again down in the midfield as Legend gets the move done. Shane then goes to defend Steph into the source and holds the move. Asicom down the inside of Ogiano, opportunistic move, gets the move done and should get DRS on Nam, so Asicom could get 2 for 1 here in the first sector of the lap. That is a lovely move, but Ogiano again very fast up through Rani on there, got maybe a bit of a better run through the corner. Is Asicom close enough in a straight line to get the move done on Nam? Nam defending all the way to the inside. Asicom's going to have to go the long way round. Nam forces him on the curb, but Nam's just slightly missed the corner. He's just got a bit deep, and Asicom read that one beautifully, waited for the better move around the outside of the next part of the corner and gets the move done. Nam gets a penalty in the process, as well as Jerry's managed to find his way past Ogiano and Nam all at once, and he's through. And now Ogiano's going to try and make the move through, and has done. And here comes Tom back for another go with the AlphaTauri almost into the wall on the outside of No Name, has to back out of the move. It's all kicking off in the midfield, and now Santeri's caught this pack of cars in 8th position. He's managed to drop Surface and is now up into 8th position.
Yeah, Tom on the back of Jerry, ending up a bit like Looney Tunes, I think, at this stage for 5th and 6th position. This is a really good battle between them both. Jerry and Tom, 5th and 6th position. Penalties, by the way, we are more than halfway through, so I'm going to run you through the penalties now while we've got a tiny bit of break in the action. Jerry on 3, Tom on 3, Nam on 3, Legends on 6, Shane on 8 and 11th. Evans on 3 and Damiano on 3. That is everyone, as Santeri's going to waltz around the outside and towards Blanchimont on Nam, shooting with the pressure tyres. It goes side by side with him, but he's got the job done. The Finn is through and he's into 7th. VSR man is through as Dava has retired, coming through Stavell, and that might cause a second safety car of the afternoon, and it does indeed, as Nam, luckily, is the first man to come in the pit lane. Everyone else is going to filter in behind, surely for a set of mediums.
Yeah, you've got to say for a set of mediums to the end, but the problem with doing a set of mediums now is that I don't think you get 2 sets of fresh mediums for a race anymore with the new tyre strategy, with the new tyres that we have, so it's going to potentially have to be softs here. Nam will go mediums, of course, because they've not stopped in this race, so the medium tyre is the better choice at this point in the race, but I think everybody else is going to have to commit to a set of soft compound tyres here, as Evans being held in the pit lane behind his teammate Shane, who's having to serve that penalty, of course. So yeah, long old stop there for Evans, just going to drop to the back of the field. He's gone for the mediums to has Evans, and those mediums are 5 laps old. So there you go. There aren't 2 fresh sets of mediums anymore in this with the new tyre rule that we have. So yeah, if you're going for the mediums, you would have to have done what Nam did, which was stay out of the first safety car period, which is exactly what they've done, and they've managed to capitalise on it up into 10th on a fresh set of mediums that should easily get to the end with good pace.
Yeah, definitely so indeed. Full safety car is out once again though, lap 14 out of 22. It is Rowan that leads the way, Jensen second, Asicom there in third at this point in time. Myself and Aidan Carter taking to the action once again. And now it's time for our second trip into the comment section as well. Jeffrey saying, still cleaner than open lobbies. Yeah, the driving standards, it is a social race, don't get me wrong. But even if it's a social race, you should be proving to yourself and to the admins and the stewards who obviously got to decide the placement for WOR this season. You want to prove to them that you can drive A, cleanly, B, fairly, and C, obviously, with a bit of pace, obviously, to try and get into Tier 1 this season. Obviously, these guys, majority of them, you will be seeing in Tier 1 this season. I have no question about that at all. But driving standard should always be clean, no matter if it's an open lobby race, no matter if it's this race that we're going on about now. Driving standard should always be at the forefront, and obviously you want to try and prove yourself, as Jerry nearly goes in the back of Oggiano coming into the bus stop chicane there. Goodness me, and Oggiano is actually filtering into the pit lane along with Asicom. Asicom is into the pit lane. Jerry's decided to stay out. Rowan is also staying out. Again, this is going to be a split call, maybe going on to the set of softs, as you say.
Yeah, I think from this point onwards, the softs can get to the end of the race. They may be a little bit they may overheat a little bit towards the end, but we're going to have a couple laps under the safety car, so why not take the gamble and go for the set of soft compound tyres? And that is perfect for Jensen now. Jensen's going to be in 4th position on a fresh set of softs with 3 hard runners directly in front with Rowan, Jerry and Noah. So Jensen here, if he can get through the traffic cleanly, has a very, very good shot at winning this race now with that strategy forward. Now, because they are behind the safety car, the likes of Rowan, Jerry and Noah can't react to that pit stop now. They are now at safety car speed. So this is pretty much it now for the order of the drivers. So now depends really on how well the hards hold up to the end of the race and whether the softs can go the full distance with a bit of pace in them.
Yeah, definitely. So Jensen, though, on that set of soft compound tyres, in there in 4th position, surely going to be the quickest man out on track, but he's got Asik coming behind, Oggiano, his good friend Tom as well, Santeri's in the mix, Nam possibly going to be the cork in the bottle, because he's on a set of mediums, everyone else in behind obviously on a set of softs, should be staying out, I think, at least 1 more, maybe 2 more laps on this set of, on the safety car period at this stage, because Shane and Evans just came out the pit lane in the Alfa Romeo pit garage, but Rowan leads the way, Jerry there in 2nd, Noah in 3rd, dare I preempt, Aiden, what we're going to be seeing for the next 7 laps? Because I have a feeling if it's anything like the first safety car restart, some of these drivers, oh, I don't know what is going to happen.
I think the word we may be using is spicy. I think it's how it's going to look. I mean, the actual race start and then the first safety car restart had pretty much identical things going on with different drivers. It was quite orderly at the front of the field, but the second you got into the mid part of the pack, it was kind of all over the place and everybody was going for moves into every corner they possibly could. So I think we could see again the same here. It depends on really when Jensen goes for the move on Noah. When he goes for that move, is Asicom and Oggiano close enough to also capitalise, or can Jensen get through the top 3 cleanly without causing carnage behind and splitting up the pack, really? That is the case. So it's going to be interesting to see, but like you said earlier on as well, I think Nam going to be a little bit of a cork in the bottle. Nam was the cork in the bottle just a few laps ago for the leaders, and now on a set of medium compound tyres against fresh softs behind is, again, I think going to struggle to hold a lot of these drivers behind.
Yeah, definitely so, and obviously he's there in 9th, he's got a penalty to his name as well. That could just preempt maybe the likes of Surface, maybe the likes of Legend trying to get a move underneath the safety car restart. I believe we're going to have 6 more laps of racing. If Shane, who's already on the back end, actually, Shane's already back in the pit lane, which is very strange indeed. Set of softs, maybe mediums to the end? Or is it a fresh set of softs? Let's have a look and see as we run on board. Evans is staying out, so Evans is going to stay out. Shane into the pit lane though, and it's going to be for a fresh set of soft compound tyres, which is a very strange strategy or a call as well. Down there in 16th position, he's now right on the back of the field, and he's basically gone from a fresh set of softs onto a compound tyre that is already 1 lap older than what he started on, which I think was actually one of his qualifying sets.
Yeah, definitely would be one of the qualifying sets. If they'd done 3 runs in quali, then he just used the fresh set of softs coming out of the pit lane the first time he pit, and the second time his pit, he's gone back onto an old set he's used in a quali run already. So, yeah, I'm not really sure of the call behind that one, because all that's done is just put him behind his teammate again on tyres that are, well, just as old as they were, if not older than the ones he was just on. So, yeah, not really sure of that call from Shane, but either way, he was 15th anyway. Down to 16th isn't the end of the world, but it's still a little bit of a bizarre call. Hopefully we get the safety car in at the end of this lap, so it should be 6 laps of racing. The soft should get to the end with no problem with 6 laps left, so it's all dependent now on how quickly Jensen can get through the cars in front.
Yeah, definitely so indeed. The VSL man, of course, the defending champion from Season 12, the last season of WOR. Jensen will be hoping, of course, to try maybe outgun Asicom underneath the safety car restart. He's got 3 drivers on a set of hards, probably thinking, oh, I've got absolutely no chance in trying to get these underneath the safety car restart. Certainly from an Asicom perspective, but from a Jensen perspective, he's probably got each of these lined up with a target on their back, ready to go. And as Damiano was crashed underneath the safety car. Very strange
Yeah.
indeed. Not sure where that has happened. The safety car was coming in this lap, so Damiano was out. The safety car's not going to be extending another lap to get rid of that car. But we're back to green flag racing once again, apparently, on my end, which is really strange indeed. But Damiano out of the race. That is coming through into the Fania chicane, I believe. But Rowan now the virtual Malander. He's now the virtual safety car, and with 6 laps to go after this one, Rowan will be your leader, but for how long? Because Jerry and Noah are going to be chomping at the bit. Jensen and that to the soft going to be chomping at the bit as well. And that's to come on Oggiano. Anything goes under this car restart, we'll have to wait and see, of course, what is going to happen. When is Rowan going to decide to go? Is he going to do it now and wait until the bus stop chicane? Or is he going to go maybe on the exit of the bus stop chicane? Now he says go though. Exactly the same put as Nam did. Rowan says go, and Noah has actually got on the back of Jerry, who's got absolutely flat-footed off the safety car restart. Jensen right on the back of these guys as well. Santerri already going past Nam as well. So he's doing his into 8th, Nam now down to 9th. But it's Rowan that leads the way. Jerry in 2nd, Noah in 3rd. Jensen's going to go on the inside line though, down in towards the source. Gets the job done on Noah. Very easy, as you'd like the VSL man through on the Shazoo man, as Asikoma's now right on the back. And look at Oggiano now side by side with the Rouge and Radion looming in the background. Shooting not going to go side by side with Rouge and Radion. Goodness me, how they made it through cleanly. It's going to give Tom a phenomenal run though on the back of these guys, and they're still side by side coming out through the right-hander, and now down in towards Lake Holm. Oggiano trying to charge at the back of Noah in towards Lake Holm. Doesn't get the job done though, and it's Rowan that leads the way. Jerry in 2nd, Jensen in 3rd, Noah in 4th. Madness through a Rouge and Radion, but Rowan still leads the way, and he's got away from Jerry in 2nd. But Oggiano now down the inside and towards Brissell. Easy as you like, gets the job done.
Yep, lovely move from Oggiano. Oggiano capitalising on the fact that Asakon was too eager to get the move done on Noah at the source and just ran into the back of the Mercedes. And that is how Oggiano capitalises. Asakon going to think about a move into Buon. No, not close enough. Sticks behind for the time being. Jensen now got a run on Jerry, maybe towards the Lafania chicane. He's going to duck to the inside. No, Jerry blocks that one off, so Jensen can't find the way through. That restart, by the way, was perfect for Rowan. He gapped the cars by a second before we even got to the bus stop chicane. So he's doing all he can to try and hold on to this. As the two Mercedes now banging wheels coming through the Lafania chicane, and Noah on those hards is just getting swamped. Tom's through. Santeri is now through. Nam on the mediums will be next to have a go as Legend. My word, Legend was full opposite lot coming out of Kerpel. Frere keeps it pointing in the right direction and doesn't lose any places. Well held.
Jensen's going on the back of Jerry as well. Jerry's picked up another penalty into the bus stop chicane. That's the least of his worries though, as Jensen flies around the outside into the bus stop chicane, shooting the set of selves. He's going to get the job done through, and he's into 2nd, but Jerry's still on the outside line. It gives Oggiano now a chance, running down and towards turn number 1. Jerry though is now behind Jensen. I think he's going to have to give up this fight, but the Dutchman's still down the inside line and towards turn number 1. Jensen not giving this up, and it could be 3 wide down and towards the Rouge and Radion once again. But Rowan leads the way. It's 2.5 seconds, and all of that gap is extending. Jensen now is negotiating with Jerry. He's still on the back though, and he's got ERS to burn. Oggiano there in 4th. Nam has overtaken Legend further down the field. Here comes Jerry though on the back of Jensen once again, and there's a yellow flag, and that's Legend down and out of the race through Rouge and Radion. That could cause a safety car again, but Jerry ran the outside. It is a VSC, I believe. Full VSC.
Wow, well, that cut off right at the right moment, didn't it, for Jensen, just before that battle started. But oh my, what another safety car restart this has been. It's absolute carnage once again. Legend, I don't know if that was contact or whether they just dropped the car completely on his own, but would not be surprised if it's contact. That midfield was all over the place once again at that safety car restart. Jensen, though, has now managed to get through the bulk of the hard runners, so now his task is to just set off after Rowan. Can Rowan keep enough pace in those hards to keep going to the end of this race and still win, or has Jensen just got too much speed now on these softs, and is it just a matter of time, I guess, now towards the end of this race?
It doesn't look like Jensen's actually got the pace on the set of softs. I think Jerry has been hassling them on 12-lap-old hards, and Jensen has not got away. I know it's only been a lap or so, but still, Jensen's tyres. Oh, as Jerry runs into the back of Jensen, in fact, and that could be a 5-second penalty for Jerry being picked up, and now we get back underway, actually, under the VSC restart, and Jerry right underneath the rear wing once again on Jensen. By the way, Tom and Asakoma going side by side. Back to Tom in a second, because obviously coming out of Stavolo and coming out of the final chicane as Jerry is side by side with Jensen. We're going to cut back on board with that as Jerry is now back through and he's into 2nd. Jensen there in 3rd. What Aiden mentioned, by the way, about the Mercedes banging wheels was not true. Tom actually had a snap of oversteer going around the outside of his teammate Noah, got the job done, he's into 6th, through into 7th, now ahead of Santeri, obviously into 6th. but Rowan leads the way. Jerry in second, Jensen in third. Thought I'd just point that out, won that one out though with Tom there in sixth position. Jensen though still hustling on the back of Jerry. Looks like Rowan has escaped up the road and perhaps to the point in the Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah, escaped to the road. Jensen kind of just let Jerry through, interestingly, down the back straight. As Jerry's putting Jensen on the grass down the back straight. That was really defensive driving. And Jensen manages just to find the gap, but that was really aggressive from Jerry down the back straight. They're lucky to get away with that one, and Ogiano follows through and up into third place. So the Alpine driver who's been strong all race, once again featuring at the front of the field. Santeri and Asicombe now going side by side. Where is the pace gone for Asicombe? From that qualifying session, the race pace just hasn't been the same. I know, of course, it was on an alternate strategy, but on these softs, he's gone backwards rather than forwards, interestingly, as the AlphaTauri. So he's really struggling at this point in the race. Jensen is now through. He has 3.5 laps to get up to Rowan, and he's already taken half a second out of the Red Bull in the first part of this second sector. But it took him over a lap to clear Jerry completely. So Lord knows how difficult it's going to be for Jensen to clear Rowan, and Rowan's going to, Rowan at this point in the race has more ERS to play with.
Yeah, definitely so. Rowan has got 27% of ERS, Jensen's got 5%, but if we know anything about Jensen, he'll have the pace over the hard runner. He'll try get on the back maybe in a lap's time also. Tom on the back of Jerry as well, 4th and 5th position. It's settled down slightly now out on track, apart from Nam and Surface going nearly side by side, coming through Blanchimont, and now Surface on the back, dummies him to the inside line, also side by side between Rocker and Noah just ahead as well. Rocker's going to try and get the switchback on the exit of the bus stop chicane. He's got a phenomenal run actually on Noah and beautifully gets the job done and Rocker through, and he's into 8th position as Shane is retired out of the race, and that's through the final corner. It's going to be no safety car for that. Noah and Rocker though still side by side, coming out over the source, and Noah on the run down towards the Rouge and Marion. The McLaren though gets back ahead, and it's so difficult because he's on that side of soft. He's so difficult to try and get away. Noah and Nam are literally right underneath the slipstream. Tom's going to try and get Jerry down the straight as well. We're going to focus on this because it's 3 wide. Down the straight now between Nam, who threads the eye of the needle through the middle of the track, on the back of Noah now in towards the soul, in towards the com. How late was that on the brakes from Nam? Beautiful job. He's through and he's into 8th. Noah there a little bit early on the brakes to be fair. But the Aston Martin through and he's into 8th. And that's Terry is getting the job done on Jerry down in towards Bruxelles.
Yeah, lovely move from Santeri as well. Caught Jerry napping a little bit coming out of Malmedy, gets the move done, which is nice to see. Arocco as well, crucial mistake, got the move done down towards the source, and then outbroke himself in the source, and in outbreaking himself in the source, he then tried to back out and go behind Noah to get the DRS, but he was just too slow in reacting to it, so he ended up getting swamped rather than getting the DRS. So bit of a crucial mistake there for Morocco, having made such a lovely move out of the bus stop chicane. He just then kind of forfeited 2 places himself with a mistake at the source. So now he's got to work his way back through this field. He's at the front of the field. Jensen set the fastest lap on the previous lap. On this lap, he has not gained any time at all on Rowan on this lap. In fact, he's lost a 10th to the Red Bull. So I'm wondering, is Jensen's... we mentioned at the start of the stream that the softs aren't going to be a good race tyre. Is Jensen's tyres just starting to overheat a little bit, and is he losing the pace in them? Because Ogiano and Tom are now right all over the back of the McLaren as the 2 AlphaTauris come together in the background. Yeah,
Asicombe was going for the move on Jerry. Jerry now, I think, quite frustrated maybe with some of the driving standards. So he drops back there behind a Rocker and Noah. So he's down into 10th position, got 4 set wide there by Asicombe. They got pretty much caught on each other coming through the bus stop chicane. But yeah, back to your point, Rowan obviously 1.7 seconds clear. Jensen is now under pressure from Ogiano, and he does not want this man on his back wheel because he's now on the back and going to go past down the Camel straight down and towards Lake Holm. And Ogiano is through and he's into second. Jensen there in third, and Tom is going side by side with him as well. It's like the old TML battle between these two. Jensen and Tom, third and fourth position. Jensen holds on to third, Tom in fourth. I think Jensen's taken too much over the tyres. As a Rockwood surface, I think I've had contact at Lacombe, but Jensen has taken too much out of his tyres. That was proven. 3-second penalty. His surface is now out of the race.
Yeah, surface out of the race. I think Jerry was involved in that one as well. Jerry doesn't have a front wing on that AlphaTauri, so Jerry's race that looked so strong at the start, it was just completely evaporated in the last part of this race since that last safety car restart. Yeah, been a bit of a mess, hasn't it? We've now lost 8 drivers from this race. It's been a race of attrition, this one has. Well done to all the people that are still going that have survived this race. Hats off to you. I don't know how you survived it, because this has been absolute carnage from start to finish. And we've got a lap to go. But again, the softs just haven't come to life. They were great at the initial restart, but almost immediately after the initial restart, they've just overheated and they've just lost all their pace. And Jensen's completely lost his pace, is now falling into the clutches of Tom and Santeri. And Ogiano, having got past Jensen, still hasn't really been able to find that much time on Rowan in front. So the softs just proving themselves not to be a good race tyre around this track. And Rowan, despite being caught out at the safety car by not pitting, on a conventional, I think the only one left on a conventional strategy this month at this point, looks like at this point in the race is going to come home quite cleanly with a comfortable race victory.
Yeah, it's looking that way, isn't it? Rowan leads the way. The final 7 kilometres to go on lap 22 out of 22 here in Belgium. Rowan has absolutely set sail. That move down in towards turn number 1 in the end was absolutely crucial. And then underneath the safety car restart as well, that was absolutely crucial as well. Here comes Jensen, here comes Tom on the back of Jensen down in towards Lecombe, and Tom has got to get the move done on Jensen. These two know how to put on a fight. They're through and they're into 3rd and 4th position. Steph is now retired at the top of Rouge and Radion as well, so Steph is out of the race. 9 DNFs in this race so far. Absolutely disappointing, I think. Some of those obviously caused by crashes. Jerry, by the way, with no front wing, has just gone through on a rocker, and he's into 10th position, possibly the final point scoring position as well as the season goes on. For Rowan leading the way. Of course, this is just a social race, no point, it's just pride on play here tonight, but it's Rowan leading the way. Ogiano is beginning to find that pace very late on. He's using up every single amount of VOS at every single point on the track, and he's going to have to try and find something if he wants to try and get on the back of Rowan, but it's looking increasingly likely now that the Red Bull is going to win as we run on board with him now, coming out of Campos, coming out of Stavolo. He's 2 tenths up actually on this lap. Is Rowan, and he's pulling away from Ogiano. The overheating on those softs is absolutely crucial to how Rowan has approached this race. He decided to go on the right strategy. He made the right call to stay out as well, and that is going to prove absolute fruition as Santeri and Jensen now are pretty much going side by side in towards Blanchimont, and Santeri, the Finn's going to try and go all the way around the outside, and the McLaren, and he does. Santeri around the outside gets the job done, but Rowan around the final corner of the must-stop chicane wins the Belgian Grand Prix social race in WOR. Ogiano there in 2nd. Tom now dropping down positions, and Terry there in 3rd in the end. Tom and 3-second penalty in 4th. Asicum there in 5th. Jensen in the end, of 3-second penalty for him, ending up in 6th. Nam drove a very good race. Remember, he started at the back of the field, didn't even get a qualifying lap in. He's there in 7th. Noah there in 8th. Evans in 9th. The Rocket jumps ahead of Jerry there in P10. Apologies about any flashing that might come up, by the way. Just beauty in the game. There's a Rocket finishing in 10th position. Driver of the day might come up on my end. If it doesn't, Aiden will tell you. It is Nam that gets driver of the day, awarded by the in-game fans. Might be actually rewarded, I think, with that. But to the top step of the podium, it is, of course, Aiden. Please.
Yeah. Am I helping you out here? It's Rowan.
It's Rowan. Goodness me. Yeah, my mind just went completely blank there, but it is. Yeah, it's Rowan, the hardcore powder tire man. The Dutchman comes out on top here tonight as we now see the podium celebrations indeed. Rowan to the top step of the podium. And in fact, we're not going to see the podium interviews because it is flashing quite a lot there on the podium interviews. But we'll run through the full grid order anyways. It is Rowan that the one there, from Ogiano there in 2nd, so Terry there in 3rd, Tom in 4th, Asicum there in 5th, Jensen in 6th, Nam in 7th, from 20th on the grid, Noah there in 8th, Evans in 9th, a rocker around off the top 10, Jeremy 11th, and then the DNFs come into play. Steph, Surfer, Shane, Legend, Damiano, Dara, Fruitful, Dan, Screen, and Lynx. Those are the 9 DNFs out on track. Rowan took the win, Ogiano in 2nd, Santeri in 3rd. I think I'm absolutely shattered after that race. That was well deserved though by Rowan.
Yeah, really well deserved by Rowan. Drove a flawless race really from start to finish. Won that race pretty much at the first corner, didn't he, with that start? And yeah, looked really strong all the way through. Really, really brilliant pace in the Red Bull driver, and probably the only driver tonight that kept out of trouble by the looks of things. I think everybody else was involved in something at some point in that race. So yeah, that was a race of attrition, and so much went on. I don't blame you for briefly forgetting who won this race, because honestly, I don't think I could write down everything that just happened in that social race. That is a crazy start to a WR season, but yeah, fingers crossed most of the races aren't like this racing standards wise, because otherwise I do feel very sorry for the stewards.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, compared to Australia last week, it's just night and day, I think. Australia was so much better in terms of the racing, in terms of the on-track action as well, in terms of the battles, and in terms of the drama late on. Belgium had that in abundance, but obviously we've got to keep the clean driving standards, of course, out on track. Let us have a look, though. We were going to run it through early on before qualifying started. Let's have a look, though, at the calendar in question. Austria, first round of the championship, and that comes, of course, from the 7th to the 12th of August. Then it's Bahrain, round 2 of the championship, the first of the 3 sprint races that we've got this season. Miami there, first visit for WOR to Miami for the 3rd race of the season. Australia for round 4, then it's Great Britain round 5, and then we've got a bit of a break week actually between Australia and Great Britain. So then we've got the British Grand Prix for round 5. Belgium returns for round 6, Canada round 7, Italy round 8, Spain, Abu Dhabi, Singapore, Japan, Mexico, and then Brazil and Saudi Arabia to end off the season. And Aiden, just reading that little calendar, that looks really, really appetising, I think.
It does, yeah. It's a good mix of everything, isn't it? There's a lot of things going on in there that it's going to challenge drivers very differently. Austria for a first race of the season, I think, could be very interesting. We know there's a lot of overtakes at that track, and strategies do tend to be very close there. So Austria, I think, for a first round is going to be interesting. And of course, we can't forget the sprint races. Next time we come back to Belgium, it'll be a different dynamic, of course. We'll have a sprint race instead. So that is going to be another thing to look out for. But yeah, if you want to win this championship, it's going to be about consistency, isn't it? You're going to have to be good in all types of tracks, because we start off with 2 fairly open tracks that you can overtake on, like Austria and Bahrain, but towards the end of the season, we've got, well, back to back, we've got Singapore, Japan, and Mexico, which are all 3 tracks that are a lot more difficult to overtake on.
Yeah, definitely so, indeed. And obviously, with the likes of Miami to come, the likes of the British Grand Prix going to be returning to WR. 15-round calendar is going to be quite enticing to see what is going to happen in the coming weeks, of course. As we say, first round of the championship, I need to get the calendar out in terms of what we're going to be covering, of course, on a Friday. Xbox and PC also going to be covered. I will give you the sign-ups information in just a second, because there's been a bit of an update to the sign-ups information. But we are back live in 4 weeks' time, I believe, from now on the 12th of August, and that is, of course, a Friday. So Austria, first round of the championship. I cannot wait until that point. Let me remind you, though, of the sign-ups. The sign-ups are still open. You can complete... There's a 5-step sign-up process, by the way, to sign up to WOR. So this includes if you're on PlayStation, Xbox, or PC. There is no assist for each of those, as obviously the 5-step sign-up system. Basically, complete the Google form by the 19th of July by midnight. You join the Discord server. I think the link is in the description to this video. Complete the Grand Prix event, which is 50% race in the Netherlands, mediums to hard strategy, and pit lap 16. Then step 4, it is complete time trial event at France and Imola. And then the big change in the information is you submit the screenshots of events, but it has been extended, I believe, to the 28th of July. So you've got 4 extra days, probably because all the Dutchies are going on holiday. That is why it's been extended to the 28th of July at midnight. And why wouldn't you want to sign up after that sort of race here on PlayStation? Xbox and PC also, of course, available. We're covering the PlayStation side, though. And I cannot wait, obviously, for Season 13 to begin.
Yeah, I can't wait for it to begin either. It looks like it's going to be a really exciting season. I mean, off the back of last season as well, it could be really, really great to see the new dynamics. And of course, I think the racing on this game is very interesting, isn't it now? It's all new dynamics with the new cars and how the tyres behave, how strategy works. It's very different to what we've been used to and accustomed to for the past maybe 3 or 4 games now. So it's going to be a complete shift in how league racing works. And I'm really excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah, really excited indeed. We return back to us, by the way, in the commentary box. A very sultry commentary box, I've got to be honest here. I'm sweating after that race. I don't know what it's going to be like going in the next couple of days here in the UK, with 40 degrees obviously being tempted by the Met Office here in the UK. But that is it for tonight. I really hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you're new. We got 2,100 views on the last video. You listened to me for an hour and a half in the last video. Aiden's alongside me. Hopefully we can smash that, and hopefully it's a new record for the consoles, as we are obviously going to be covering more action, I'm sure. Social races, I believe, are still to come. They will be announced, I'm sure, on Discord and on Twitter if you do want to catch on WOR. And, of course, you can catch us on Twitter at ttg_head. And you are at Carl Mentalist, I believe.
I am, yeah. I finally was able to use the name. Twitter kept blocking me from using the name, but I've finally been able to use it. So there we go. It's all working now.
There you go. I'm sure it'll be put in the description as well. But we will end it here. Thank you so much for watching WOR tonight. And until next time, which will hopefully be in a couple of weeks' time, goodbye.